Now that the spacers are back on, and so far so good, everything seems to be fitting tightly. There's a few things. One is the seat's coming off today, so they're going to redo that. I was going to buy a new one, but they're like $400 for the damn thing, which is crazy. The frame is good. I threw some boat cushions on it temporarily, but I took it over to an upholsterer, and he's going to do it for me this week actually. And we're going to use a instead of using just a regular foam that they use on this one, which is cheap stuff, they're going to use a latex, which is a little softer and puts up more with mildew and water and all that kind of crap. So I'm actually going to have a better seat for a lot less money. All right, as long as this frame is still good, which it is. However, I had this off this past fall, because what I did was I rigged in the overhead lights, and I also put in a cigarette lighter plug adapter down here. But it was getting cold and I was in a hurry, so I just screwed it back in, but it's not just right. So I'm going to take this off and go through it and make sure everything's nice and nicey, and do what I have to do. And at that point, whoops, sorry guys. And at that point, get everything back in place. I'm thinking of putting a small, like a motorcycle radio on here. Or I seen one advertised someplace. Well, I seen a couple of them, but one was really cheap, and I didn't want to put. It was like 30 bucks, and that wasn't going to work. But there was another one that was like 129 or something, and it would fit perfectly. And I want to get that on here, so I want to put a radio on here, and I want to put a little pouch of some sort, probably just a little slide-in pouch made of like ABS or Kydex, so that I can, during the day, as long as I'm out here and it's not pouring rain, I can slide the phone into the pouch, so I don't have to worry about it being, you know, in my pocket or losing it. So I want to build a pouch for it down here. But the main thing is first take this all off to make sure everything is okay, make sure the wiring's all okay, everything's cool. And down in here I put a little extra fuse panel down here, so I want to make sure that everything's cool down in here. I don't know if you're seeing what I'm doing down in there, but down in that little access panel I put a couple of, it's a 3-banger fuse box. It's just something small to take care of the extras that I put in, so that I'm not, you know, I'm not putting any more stress or voltage on the fuses that are actually for the tractor. So that comes directly off the battery, and it's separate, so I don't have to worry about it. That's usually the way I do things when I'm hooking things up. If I'm going to start hooking up electronics, I usually run a separate wire right off the battery with its own breakers or fuses, so this way it doesn't interfere with the voltage system on the tractor itself, and that's how it usually works. Hold on a minute. So anyway, where I'm working at here, where I'm starting, or what I'm doing, is cleaning up a little bit of this extra wire that's been in here. That was just a little too long. I really didn't need an extra 2 feet of wire. I like a little extra, but I didn't need all that extra. So I'm shortening up the ground wire here. Do a little bit more of that. I'm careful of being quite that short. And I'm using the heat shrink with adhesive connectors. The only thing with these is you want to make sure that you don't crunch too tight and bite through the coating, the casing, because if you do that, well then there's no sense having a heat shrink and glue. Can you see what I'm talking about here? Yeah. Now if the wind lets up enough, I can try to shrink that up a little bit. Actually got a nice breeze today. It's nice. In the shade anyway. I use these heat shrink with the glue in them whenever I have a chance outside. You know, anything that's going to be exposed. If it's like inside the vehicle or something, I won't do it. But if it's something like this, I always want to make sure. So, and I always keep enough of them around. I buy these things by the thousands. Whenever I see them on sale, I buy them. Because you're always going to need them. So, doesn't hurt to have them laying around. Saves you a trip. It'll save you money in the long run. So, if you can do it, do it. But like I say, it'll save you in the long run. And there's all the different types in there, but okay. So this goes to this switch, which is over on the other side. So that takes care of that. And these actually clamp down inside here, so that's not a problem. Now the only thing I want to do is what was it I wanted to do? Oh, I'm going to put a radio in here. So I want to make sure that I have a, well, I'm not going to do that now because I'm not going to worry about that right now because I got the fuse box down there. So basically I want to make sure that I can get these wires here up and over and under. There's a less that's on top of everything. It's back together. Over. That takes care of that one. And this, wherever it went. Hello, where'd you go? Oh, there you are. Should take care of that one. Not tough. Had it there. Oh man, sometimes no matter how much room you have, you still haven't got enough. And as you get older, things just get a little bit harder. Okay, so that wire is now all out of the way. So this should fit up in there perfectly. Yeah. So we got rid of that gap that was up there that I was worried about. Used to be a gap right here. Now that all fits in, and now I can bolt her down and I don't have to worry about it. So much for that. Now I can hook up the switch, but I'm going to spray it first. So I'm going to go get a little spray. Spray the switch. And take care of that. You know, I'm sure they're all the same, but you think for what you pay for these things that they would give you a little bit better than what they give you. And what I mean by that, this plastic piece that I'm screwing in lips into the piece up here, which is metal. Can you see what I'm talking about? Yeah, this piece here, right here, lips in and clips down. And then it screws in after that, you know, here and around. Well, what is it screwing into? Plastic. You think that, you know, and then down there. Now down there, if you can see it or not, the plastic actually cracked and the screw is not doing anything. So I'm going to have to put a washer on that. You think they'd put a couple of small brackets inside coming off so that you're screwing into metal and it helps support the plastic. You think? You know, what and how much more would it have cost them to do that? You know, I mean, okay, one tractor, big deal. All right, 1,000 tractors, okay, I can understand a little bit more. If it's $1 more, it's $1,000 more. But it's 1,000 tractors. You know, and these tractors aren't cheap. you know. And I mean, you guys that buy these things know. I mean, this one cost me almost $25,000. Now that's with the front loader, the backhoe, the belly deck, the ballast box. You know, it's diesel, 4-wheel drive. You know, oh, and there was a few $1,000s in financing. So, you know, with financing, 24,000 change. So you'd think, you know, if it even cost them $5, what is $5 when you're talking $22,000 to $24,000? I mean, come on, you know what I mean here, you know? I mean, their budget isn't that tight that they can't give you a few pieces of metal brackets here and there. Spend a few dollars more. You know, now, I'm not knocking the tractor. Sometimes they don't always think. Here's another thing they screwed up on. This little lever here. This works with one of the PTOs. Well, this used to stick up about 5 or 6 inches taller. So it was actually sticking up here. So every time you get off the tractor, you got to get off this side. You're getting hung up on that thing. And then they put the cup holder right there. So I just cut it off. I mean, I can still use it. It's not a big deal. I can reach it. There's no problem with it. All right. So, but why did they do these things? You know what I mean? And the cup holder. When you get off, the cup's right in your way. All they had to do is put that back a few more inches, and it'd be a lot easier. You know, I mean, it's just these little things. I think when it comes time to, if there is a time to where I got to upgrade, and I'm thinking about buying a little bit bigger one. It all depends on where we end up moving. Because this one's large enough to do a lot of little work, and it's small enough to do lawns. If I take the front loader off this and the backhoe off this and just use it as a belly deck, it's a small tractor. You know, in comparison to the larger ones. It's larger than a small lawn tractor, but you know, it's just, you know, it's fine. But if we end up moving into something where I pick up 10, 15 acres, I may want to go bigger. And if I go bigger, I think I'm going to look at I'm going to look at the John Deeres, but I'm also going to look at the Kubota and the Bobcats, because Bobcat also makes a tractor. You know, so I want to see and check out the construction on all of them. Now the Kubotas aren't too bad. A lot of the rental agencies up here rent Kubotas. And they rent them. One is they get a deal on them, but the other rent is that because they hold up. I don't see too many rental places renting John Deeres. They're either renting the Kubotas or the Bobcats. So that kind of turns me on to the Kubota as well. But again, I look at them both. Now I don't care about resale value only because I don't plan on reselling them. Trade-in value, that's going to suck no matter what, because they're always going to take advantage of you. When I bought this thing, like I say, it cost me, with a few $1,000s in financing, $24,000. The unit, I think, was $21.90 something, almost 22 grand. Okay, so $24,000. Right after, or actually 3 months before it was paid off, I was talking to them on possibly trading it in. And they said, well, you know, it's about $7,000 trade-in. Okay, I've only got 360 hours on this thing. You know, now granted, I work it hard, you know, but for $7,000, I'll keep it, you know. So like I said, the trade-in or the resale, I really don't care about, because whatever it is I get, I plan on keeping it. So, but anyway, I'm going to fix those screws, that plastic was cracked, and then at that point start getting some measurements on some of these radios. And I may make that piece of ABS or Kydex plastic holster to hold the cell phone. Okay.